My favorite quote that I always start all topics or talks like this is from Brian Tracy. I don't know if you know him, he's a business writer. But he says the foundation of all success, both personal and professional, is clarity. In other words, what are we doing? So the first thing I'd like to do is ask how many of you make your living in marketing, by doing marketing. Okay, just need to know who I'm talking to. And you took your morning and you came over here, which I appreciate. Is there anything in particular that you want to get from this conversation? So I can see if I can make sure to answer that. Okay.
When you have multiple messages on
Okay.
limited budget, how do you decide what your priority is?
That's what the whole topic is about. Okay, great. I'll try to address that. Anybody else? I mean, we haven't even started yet, but I'd like to fulfill expectations if I can. Okay, well, I told Stephanie when she asked me to do this, I said she had seen it before or heard about it. I said, may I expand it a little bit? And I promised her I'd keep the expansion short, but take it from the general to the specific. This is our agenda for the day. Khalil, is that in the, I don't know if that's in there, but anyway, with your permission, this is what we'll do. I'm going to define the USP and what we're talking about, discuss why it matters, talk about the most important question in marketing, and then go through the three steps you go through to develop a USP, and then hopefully I'll answer questions. And this is two-way. I've heard me speak before. I get a great deal of benefit by hearing questions. It helps me refine what people want to know about. So if you have a question or a comment, just shout it out, raise your hand, whatever, okay? Sound good? Good. Okay. This is the general part. There are 4 functions of every business. Every business does 4 things. No business does more than these 4 things, okay? That's a strong statement, but it's a fact. And the 4 things are guide the business, get the business, do the business, and administer the business. Any business that's going to succeed has to be at least good at all 4 of those things. Okay, guidance. That's your vision for your company. That's the culture of your company. That's plans, that's goals, that's building a team. That's accountability, that's incentives. It's all those things about leadership. Customers, what I have there getting the business is marketing and sales, which we'll be talking about. Production is delivering on what you sold. Okay, and administration is all the things. Now, we don't have a lot of independent business owners in here, but the way I say it, administration is all the things you never thought about when you started business. It's taxes, it's IT, it's email, it's payroll, it's hiring processes. It's just this morass of things, workman's comp, insurance, OSHA, just all these things that you never thought about when you started a business, okay? So you have to be good, any business, and for you marketing people, this is all in a context. I think I'll pull it together. You have to be at least good at all 4 of those. If you think about it, if you can produce it, if you guys can do digital marketing, but you can't sell it, you don't have a very bright future. If you can sell digital marketing, but you can't deliver on it, not very good, right? If you can sell it and deliver on it, but you don't pay your taxes, you don't do your invoicing, people can't get a hold of AR, get their questions answered, things like that, you're not in very good shape, right? And if you can do those 3 things, but you're a rudderless ship, you don't know where you're going, people don't know what to believe in or what they're doing, you're out of business. So you guys got the concept? My dad used to tell me marketing is everything. And when he said that, he didn't mean marketing is the only thing. He meant that everything is marketing. And I agree with my whole heart, to the depth of my being, that marketing is everything. Can you think of a company that people buy from because of their vision? And if you can?
Apple.
Perfect. Did everybody hear that? Apple. Can you state their vision? I mean, you don't have to say it exactly, but.
I despise apples.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I try not to.
Well, let me throw out. I mean, if you search it, you'll find different visions. But basically, it's disrupt the status quo. Nobody ever. Well, I said that once, and some guy held up his computer. But nobody ever sticks a sticker over the Apple symbol on the back of their laptop, right? I mean, you go to Starbucks and you fold that baby up and you turn it on so it gets lit up. I'm part of that group. Identify with them. Can you think of anybody who people do business with because of their culture? Pardon? Google, excellent. Zappos. See, that's why I asked you guys. What I'm thinking of is Southwest Airlines. That's what they're known for, right? Okay, can you think of anybody who does business because they're excellent at production, meaning delivering their product? Amazon, perfect. Anything more mundane?
UPS or FedEx?
UPS, FedEx, yeah. Pardon? Starbucks, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. Anybody ever go to Chick-fil-A? There was a Facebook post on on Facebook this morning, and they were at least 40. This person was at least 40th in line, and they said they ought to put another one in. However, I'll get through here as fast as I get through McDonald's. 40 back. Okay, so they're known for that. That's part of who they are. Anybody know anybody who's well known because of their administration?
Locally, Paycom.
Who said that? Yeah, excellent. Paycom was the answer. You can kind of fuzz these two up a little bit, but I would put Amazon Prime in that. You don't necessarily, that's producing and delivering, but that's shipping it out and getting it the next day and all that. But their administration, it's easy to do business with, right? Okay? So you can see the point is that if you really want to be good at marketing and be well known, you need to address all of these things. As a business coach, that's the kind of thing I work on, not just marketing. And by the way, I don't compete with you guys. I cause my clients to acquire you guys when they think, well, it's too expensive. Okay, in the materials that went out, we talked about why should I buy from you, never again compete on price, okay? I want to put a couple of numbers up here just to show why price is important. Everybody kind of knows price is important, right? I mean, that's where the money comes in, but yeah. Well, I just wanted to show you a couple of things that usually shock my clients. Don't even have to know really what I'm talking about, but suffice to say, if you have 35% margins, that means the difference between what you sell something for and the cost of selling it. So I sell a dress for $100, it costs me 65. And I have a 20% reduction for a sale. Or maybe I compete because my competitors are out there and they're scaring me to death, so I got to go down in price. My business has to go up 133%. That's double plus a third more to keep my gross profits where they were before I reduced my price. Makes price look a little more important, doesn't it? I mean, people surrender in advance on price every single day. They're presuming, oh, I need to go down, some story you heard somewhere, so they surrender in price. When you understand what happens when you surrender on price, maybe it gives you a little pause and you think, I'm going to try to think of something else. And there are lots of something else's. On the flip side, price increases. One of the toughest battles I have with every client that I have is to get them to raise their prices. Why would people be reluctant to raise their prices?
People will stop doing business with it.
Louder, please.
They're afraid people will stop doing business with it.
Right. Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, would it be useful to know how many customers you could lose before a price increase would affect your profit? And the answer is, again, if you have 35% margins and you have a 10% price increase, which isn't much, right? I mean, I can get my clients to do that and usually they don't lose any customers. You can lose 22% of your business before it affects your profit. So you'd be making the same money and working almost a fourth less, okay? And just so you know, you're in marketing and just to have this in your heads, pricing is your own head trash, okay? If it really is. When I go out, some people bid contracts and the computer makes the decision, you know, so the number is it. But in almost everything else, pricing is our own head trash. I'll do a talk on that in the future. But people are scared because of anecdotal things. Well, I heard that my competitor down the street was doing this for this. And I heard, and Betty came in and she told me, and anyway, it's all, I just don't ever encounter anybody who raised their prices, saw a change in their prices, did the math on it, and said, ooh, I better go back down. That's never happened to me, okay? So anyway, I wanted to give you those things on price to show you why it matters so much, okay? I want to also, just keeping it in the general there are two broad areas of marketing, okay? There's the delivery and there's the message that's being delivered, okay? The delivery side, when I was younger, was the yellow pages, okay? It was the newspaper. Occasionally it was the radio. And now we're into the web and everything that brings with it, SEO. You guys are doing drip marketing. I know HubSpot's around here probably, and a lot of seats in this room. Podcasts, videos, writing content, you're giving all this stuff out. You're doing it through Instagram, and maybe Snapchat's still out there, I don't know, but it was for a while. You're doing it on Twitter. You're using CoSchedule or HubSpot to get the tweets out there, and you're engaging them, and you're doing all these things. And they'll change every day. They probably have changed today. I mean, I don't know. I know SEO has, because it changes every day. But anyway, those are the delivery vehicles, and they change at the speed of light. But over here is the message. If you don't have a target market, which means a unique selling proposition addressing a target market, you have to have a headline, something to grab their attention. You have to have an offer, and you have to have a call to action. Those things have not ever changed, right? I mean, sometimes the headline is the video arrow. Somebody will punch that. But now the people don't want to watch the videos. They want to read the videos while they watch it quietly so they don't bother the people in the room next to them, right? But the message has to be there. If you're excellent at this and you're not any good at this, it's kind of like the 4 areas of business. You're not going to accomplish anything. Agreed? If you're just superior at this, you have the best headlines and you have the great offer that compels people to call you as soon as they read the ad, but nobody reads it, you're kind of toast, right? So anyway, I just always look at it that way. I am not here today to tell you guys where to put the button on your web page. You know that better than I do. And I've got a guy, Khalil Benelli Haj, in the back who does that stuff for me, and he's really good, and thank God I have him because I'd be lost. I don't know that stuff. I think I do know this stuff. And we're going to just talk about the very first one today, okay? Any comments so far? Any insights? Did I say anything that, I call them blinding flashes of the obvious. Usually the things I talk about, people already know, but they didn't realize it. So any takeaways from what I've said so far? Any insights, any realizations?
Well, having worked for a couple of organizations that you've done work with in the past and watching them do that, it was amazing to see the transformation and basically you were doing more with or earning more by doing less.
And did I get you the check yet, or is that coming? Thank you. Thanks, Terry.
I just wanted to ask you on your previous slide, the 4 areas where the business does, or I guess it's going left. Unfortunately, the 5th one is lose business. And I was curious if you have a feeling about, you can lose them in any or all of those categories, but where do you feel like the company has the most common pitfall?
Okay. I mostly work with small to medium companies in Oklahoma. And when I walk into a company, there are 3, well, of those 4 things, let me ask you, when I walk in, usually I encounter businesses and they're good at one thing. Which one is it? Guidance, having a vision and a culture, marketing and sales, doing whatever it is they do, welder, doctor, architect, digital marketing company, or administration. What do you think that they're usually the best at? 100%. Does that answer your question? I've had $80 million revenue companies. That be kind of the top end of the companies that I've worked with recently anyway. And they're just good at that. So, wow. So when I walk into companies, I don't believe I've ever walked into a company the size I deal with who can tell me what the vision for their company is. When I ask people what it is, I ask them this. I say, what do you want? That's the first question I ask of any new prospect that I'm dealing with. What do you suppose I hear the most often?
More money.
Pardon?
More money.
More money? That's a good answer.
I don't know.
Who said that? Well, phrased a little differently, what I hear is they say, well, what do you mean? I said, I mean, what do you want? And they said, well, you mean me personally or like for my business? I go, either, both, I don't care. What do you want? Wow, I don't know. And then it's true for me too. I challenge you. Matter of fact, on my website, I have a couple of papers on this, how to determine what you want and creating a vision for your company, little articles if you want to just go read them. But it's hard for people. I don't know. Well, if you don't know what you want, can you be surprised that you don't have it? Okay? So that's kind of where it starts. So I've never seen anybody who really had a vision for what they want. Most have heard of marketing and sales, and especially nowadays, they go, oh man, I got to get on that Facebook. You know, I got to put some posts out there. I did put some posts out there. I quit doing it. Nobody ever called me. Didn't make any money. Oh, okay. You know, so they don't have any clue. Some are good at sales. Sales been around for a long time. Sales being closing the deal that marketing brings. That's kind of a loose definition. And administration. The first sign of administration is good books, accounting books. Never walked in and seen good accounting books, okay? Accounting records in a small and medium company, ever. Even people who use QuickBooks and kind of get it in there, they have books sufficient to use to pay taxes or to satisfy their bank so they can get a loan, but they don't have books that they can use for the highest purpose of books, which is making decisions about the future. That's another talk. So anyway, they fall in those three areas. Whichever one's the weak link, you know, is the one that's going to kill them. So thank you for the question. Okay, USP defined, unique selling proposition. As my son who's in the Army, he says that's a TLA. So what's that? That's a three-letter acronym that stands for unique selling proposition. So we got to come up with a TLA. This is my definition, I think. Maybe I got it off the web somewhere, but I don't remember where, so I'll just say it's my definition. It's a reason other than price to choose you over the competition. Okay? When you present your offer, whatever it is, to people, they are looking to differentiate you from other offers. And if you don't give them a reason to differentiate, they will default to price. Same with you. Okay? Just think about it. Just think about your buying behaviors. You want a reason other than price than to choose you over the competition. And I want to give you some examples of people. Everybody, you guys know Patagonia? It's a lot bigger in Colorado than it is here, but this is the last part of their two-sentence vision statement. And it's to use business to implement solutions to the environmental crisis. And I tell you, I don't know about here, but in Colorado, you wear that P as a badge of honor. That costs you about 9 times what something else does, in Patagucci they call it. But you're buying it because they do, the gooch, got your gooch on. But anyway, this is why. This is why. And everybody in Colorado, and I think a lot of people here, they appeal to skiers and rock climbers. That's their target market. But they have all these other people who buy into this, okay? Anybody know Lululemon? We're going to talk about them. Started earlier, but really kind of began doing what they do now in 2000. And I just looked it up this morning. They're over $5 billion in revenue now, okay? This is not, they have what they call their mandate, I think is what, anyway, it's a lot of sayings, but it appeals to their target market, which we'll go into here in a little bit. In and out in 3 days. Anybody ever heard of 3-day kitchens? Okay, it's talked about in the E-Myth Contractor, E-Myth, I don't know if you all have heard that, it's a great book. E-Myth Contractor, guy came, well, after a whole long story that the book is about, he came up with the idea, I'm gonna do 3-day kitchens. In and out in 3 days, or it's free. You think anybody's thinking about the price when they call 3-day kitchens? The wedding's in June and it's May 15th and everybody's coming over here, oh my God. Okay? They have a reason other than price to go to 3-day kitchens. You can Google 3-day kitchens and evidently it's franchised. It's kind of changed a little bit. There are a lot of them out there. But anyway, that was his deal. 3 days, in and out in 3 days. He's speaking to a target market. Okay? Why it matters. If you don't have a target market and a USP, you're going to compete on price. Okay, we've already kind of established that. But this second one here is a little bit more. Any salespeople in the room? Okay, I like to make the point that every one of you is in sales. But anyway, if you are unsure of your advantage, you're going to not have confidence. Period. What's the salesman wants? The hottest item in the world, and you can't get it anymore. I mean, that's what a salesman wants to walk in. Everybody wants what I sell, but you can't get it anymore. So I've got a couple left. Premium price. Okay? But if you don't have a USP and you're not confident in it, you will default to price yourself, and you'll surrender in advance. Okay? Cost. You'll spend a lot of money. Everybody in here, budgets be darned, could buy a Super Bowl ad. Would that be a smart thing to do? Right. You're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody. Right? And you spend a lot of money doing it. And focus. Once you've identified your market and you start drilling in on it, you're paying attention to them, you refine your product, and it builds and builds and builds. And you're not chasing every rabbit that comes out of a hole. Okay? That's why it matters. Now I wanted to talk, everything that we'll talk about from here on out is in the context of this, and I realize that should be whom you are talking to, but it's a little awkward. So who are you talking to? Okay? The most important question in marketing from my viewpoint. Who am I talking to? Especially now, any writers in the room? Anybody doing content stuff? Okay. You look forlorn. Oh no. Matter of fact, when this is over, I got to go fire that baby up and get after it. Okay. But who are you talking to? Do you find that as writers, it helps to know who you're talking to? Okay. And we'll talk a bit, but it helps all the way down if I know I'm talking to Terry. I know Terry's sense of humor. I know what he thinks. I know about his kids, things like that. Everything I write starts focusing in, and Terry identifies with it. Yeah, but that's just Terry. Yeah, but there are other Terrys out there, the same age, same amount of kids, same. That's my target market. I'm marketing to those people. Okay, 3 steps to developing the USP in the context of who am I talking to. The first step is developing a persona. Got a whole bunch of marketing people in here. Who knows what a persona is? Okay. Persona is, you did know or? Okay. A persona is a description of the person that you're talking to. And when I say who are you talking to specifically, that goal doesn't show up well on that screen. We go back to Lululemon. Anybody know who Ocean and Duke are? Pardon?
What's their personas? They give them names usually.
They have 2 personas, Ocean and Duke. And this is what they'll give you on the internet, okay? It goes, I think they're 30, 40 pages long. Ocean is a 32-year-old professional single woman who makes $100,000 a year. Ocean's engaged, has her own condo, travels fashionable, has an hour and a half to work out every day. Duke, he's 35 years old, an athletic opportunist who enjoys surfing in the summer and snowboarding in the winter. Duke makes more than Ocean. I did not write this, okay? And is willing to pay up for quality, okay? Everything they do is written and directed to Ocean and Duke. 0, 5 billion. And this works both ways. This is just a little side story, make sure we get out of here in time. But my daughter lives in Telluride, Colorado. She's a Patagonia freak. She's a little bit of a Colorado snob. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I love Colorado, but and I was going to buy some yoga stuff for my wife for Christmas. And so I called Laura and I said, what? She goes, well, don't go to Lululemon. And I said, what? She goes, I just hate them. They're all about professional, 100,000. She totally, and she doesn't know about Ocean and Duke, but she knows who they are. So she's not in their target market, but it certainly has defined it. And you go up here on Class and Curve around Christmas time and you got to wait in line, right? Okay. So developing a persona. And if you're developing a persona, you're writing your persona for your target market, there's just a list. It's everything. Think about what this person, what Terry, is he selling business to business or are you business to consumer? Name, age, occupation, authority. Are they the CEO? Are they just starting out? Are they head of department? What do they do? Friends, family, religion, residence, where they live. Are they risk tolerant? All of these things go into the consideration. And when you're writing in your marketing material or your articles, your blogs, you're addressing a person, you're thinking of these things. Anybody here written personas for target markets? Okay, excellent. Okay, well, everybody needs one. It's a little bit of an exercise, but it makes a difference and it begins to focus. This is who I'm talking to, okay? And everybody buys, I'm sure that most of you have heard this, but for one of two reasons: to avoid pain or to move toward pleasure, right? Or a combination of the two. They're the only reasons. If there is no pain, or if there is no perceived benefit, no perceived pleasure, they are not going to buy from you. So when we begin to write our personas against all those criteria we just looked at, we start looking and saying, what's the pain point here? What bothers them about this? Or what are they seeking? What's the pleasure point? Okay? Any comments so far, anybody? Have I said anything insightful? At all? Okay.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. So, writing a persona. Write a descriptive story of your target client using complete sentences. More than one target or more than one product requires more than one persona, right? I'm all about focus when I work with businesses. Pick one thing and we work on that thing. But it doesn't mean that once that thing is up and running that you don't move on to the next, okay? So I don't know about Big Wing, but, well, I kind of do, having talked to Janelle and Carter. You do a lot of things, okay? I've got a digital marketing agency client in Dallas, and he does one thing, and one thing only. His business, in focusing, his business almost went away. He did a lot of things. We decided focus was the answer. It almost went away. He got down to about 4 employees. Now it's doing a hockey stick. But he does one thing for one sector of one industry, and that's it. And he's perceived as an expert in that area. Okay, each persona requires its own set of marketing materials. So, maybe that's obvious. Okay, you market to Ocean differently than you market to Duke. Okay. Step 2, points of difference between your company and competitors. These are just the types of questions. I have a workbook, tell you about it, that you can download from our website for free somewhere. Anyway, it'll be on the last slide, but it has all these. You don't necessarily need to write all these down, but it gives you more suggestions and things to think about. But what do your competitors do well? What do they not do well? What do they guarantee? Okay? Your customers' thoughts. Our best customers say blank about us. The customers who hate us say blank about us. How do you want to be known in the future? I wanted to have an answer this question that people, they ask about Big Wing and they say, oh, you're the guys who, what? Okay? So we're trying to get to that and coming up with the points of difference. And I like to point out something here. There's real or preemptive differences. The iPhone was certainly a real difference, right? It was disruptive technology. It's changed the world. Anybody want to disagree with that? Okay, that's a real technology difference. Most of us are not going to invent the wind-powered automobile or the next iPhone, right? But there's an alternative to that. There's a preemption. Claude Hopkins, who we were talking about this morning, calls it preemptive imminence. Anybody know the tagline for Enterprise Rental Car?
We'll pick you up.
Thank you. We will pick you up. Could Avis have said that? Could Alamo, Budget, Fox, anyway, whoever, they all could have said it. But they claimed it first. Claude Hopkins did anybody ever heard of Schlitz beer? Or am I dating myself too far back? Anyway, Claude Hopkins in the 1920s took Schlitz beer, which was one of many breweries in the United States at the time, and he described their cold filtering, steam sterilizing process for packaging their beer. And it acquired, within 6 months, it went to #1 brand in the United States and acquired a reputation as the coldest, freshest beer in the United States. Interesting fact. What might that be?
They don't have any control over how cold the beer is.
Well, every beer brewery in the United States used the same equipment purchased from the same manufacturer. But he claimed it. We can do that too. We can be the best communicators in the industry. We can be the home. Well, anyway, we'll go on and on, but It doesn't have to be the next iPhone. It has to be what you claim for yourself. Drive that stake and say that's who we are. Matter of fact, anybody know what Starbucks is? Their little tagline about who they are and what they are? It's the third place. Anybody ever heard that? This won't have the same impact because not that, but they claim to be the third place. They're not home, they're not office, and you can tell it when you walk in. Big old cushy chair, little place to put down, put your earphones in, put your feet up on the chair. They're not trying to get you in and out and say, well, I mean, they're going to sell you a $7 cup of coffee, but they're not trying to run you through like McDonald's is, out the door, out the door. They're the third place. Well, in the Oklahoman this morning, Brent, there's a coffee shop opening in Moore, and I guess it's probably not going to, it affected me, but their thing is, we're going to be the third place. I thought, you guys, but if you guys didn't know that before, you're not going to. So they didn't, Starbucks hasn't completely staked out their third place idea. But if Alamo says, we're going to pick you up too, right? Kind of weak. So a real difference or stake something out that matters to your target market and claim it. Okay? Next step, persona perspective. It's their opinion that matters. I see it all the time when I look at ads. We've been in business for 34 years. We won this award. We yada, yada, yada. That matters. Like if the headline of your ad, whether it's on digital media or in print, if the headline of your ad is your company's name, what do you think? Comments? Good, bad, what?
Not going to necessarily remember it.
You're going to stop and read the ad? Right. Nobody cares about that but you and your mom. That's why I say to my business clients, okay? They don't care. What do I care about? I care about 3-day kitchen. Got a wedding coming up in June. Got to remodel the kitchen. 3-day kitchens, in and out, 3 days or it's free. Here's the number, or here's the website. Here's our email. Here's our, right? Okay, so everything you're doing is from the perspective of your persona. What do they care about? What matters to them? It is, now you can put your name obviously down at the bottom after they've read the ad and seen your call to action. Now there's your name and there's your contact information. And it's useful when they get to the bottom that you've been in business for 34 years or 110 years for Pubco and that you've won all these awards. But it's not at the top because people don't care. You got to take it from the standpoint of what do they care about. Pain or pleasure, this is what I was talking about before. Each point of difference has to matter from a perspective of pain or a perspective of what's good and what will they get out of it. Okay, creating it, 2 criteria, has to matter to your persona and be unique to your business. Okay, has to matter to your persona, be unique to your business. And select the most powerful points of difference. You may be different because you have a cleaner parking lot, but what really matters at your, what are fast food called? QSR, your quick service restaurant, right? What really matters is that you get in and get out and nobody gets sick from the food, right? And I'm not being, I mean, yeah. Not being cynical, but I mean literally the product has to be there, okay? So what? For every time you ask a question and they say, well, I'm trying to think of a good example here. I'm going to get you a lot of clicks. I'm going to ask, so what? So do your clients want a lot of clicks?
They want their phone to ring.
Right. I mean, yes, they do want a lot of clicks, but so what? Why do I care about clicks? Why do you care about clicks?
They want more business.
They want more business, okay? And that's really good. What they really want is business. So what? Do I really want a bunch of business from people who are going to beat me up and try to get my price down and not pay me on time and cause me to have to work a lot? I mean, this is taking it on down. No, that's one thing I work with businesses all the time. They chase sales. I couldn't care a flip about sales unless they bring with them margins, okay? Especially in contractors. I work with a lot of contractors and they want to get a big sale and say, we did 25 million last year so they can tell people at a cocktail party. They also lost $400,000. I like the guy who did 2 million last year and made $500,000. So what? I want clicks to get people to contact me. So what? I want sales. So what? I want margins. So what? I want to deal with people who will bring me margins and pay me. So every time you come up with something, and typically you ask so what 5 times. And if you do it in a group, somebody will get mad at you. I already told you. But it's worth the effort. Okay? Write your copy and then claim it. Use it everywhere. Taglines are a subset of your USP. I want to show you these. This is Bugatti. Anybody know what a Bugatti is? I didn't, but it's a like $2.5 million car, and there are 600 of them in the world. And if you qualify, they fly the car to you from Volkswagen bought them, but they're obviously Italian. They'll fly the car and a professional driver to you in San Diego and bring it to your house and show you how to drive it. Okay? Am I in their target market? Wow. You could tell? Okay, so we got different target markets, right? Zoom, zoom, Mazda. And it's really fun to read Bugatti because they use these words, and I just go, really, is that how super rich people? For the gentleman wishing to travel in comfort. Okay, what do people care about Bugatti? That's a fun one. What's the pain or pleasure to and by the way, I say guys, because of all the Bugattis sold, there's only one woman who's ever bought one. So it's a testosterone thing, I think. $2.5 million car. What's the pain or pleasure?
They want something that's different from all their other rich friends.
Okay, do you hear that? They want something that's different from everybody else. So what?
Shows that they have, that they qualify for it. There's an exclusivity. They're in the kind of an exclusive club.
So what?
Makes me feel better about themselves.
Okay.
Don't have to worry about maintenance if somebody else wants.
So you do know about, well, actually, that's one of the things they do. If you have a flat, the tires, the oil, the clutch, it's all covered by Bugatti. It's because the car's worth about $100,000 and they sell it to you for $2.5 million. It's kind of like Patagonia. They'll give you free clothes. I mean, if you wear it out ever, they'll give you another one. But that's because you bought 6 when you bought the first one. They just didn't give them to you. Anyway, that's Bugatti. I mean, I kind of look at it as they have 2. I'm sorry?
No, I was laughing.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, you look at the price, you go, are you kidding me?
Margin on clothes is ridiculous.
Pardon?
Margin on clothes is ridiculous.
On Patagonia, it makes ridiculous look ridiculous. I mean, seriously. But it's made with recycled polyester. And that matters to me, and I'm going to buy it. And I do buy it. But the real thing with the Bugatti is I can have one, and you can't. And you go to their site and just read their stuff. They say, well, Bugatti, one of the FAQs is, will you send me literature on this thing, you know? And the answer is, Bugatti does not send out printed literature. So they made me mad. They don't care. The guy in San Diego, or I don't want to pick San Diego, wherever he is, cool. You can't have one. Okay? Make your house look bigger. I pulled that one from the 60s. All the cars, I'm presuming most of you weren't here in the 60s. I was. But cars were getting really big. Really big. Everything was getting big, and Volkswagen was over here competing with the Bug. And that was one of their marketing campaigns. They understood their market. It'll make your house look bigger. Park this little car out in front. Okay? So, anyway, that basically is a bird's eye view of creating a USP. Any questions? I want to point out, you can download. Khalil, do you know? Well, I have one somewhere. But anyway, oh, here it is. This little brochure kind of walks you through the steps of creating a USP. Might be useful. Also, there are 2 calculators up there that you can download for free that will show you if you raise your prices 10%. Anyway, you just have to put in sales, cost of sales, and how much you want to change your prices. It'll tell you how much more you have to sell if you reduce your prices, and tell you how much less you have to sell if you raise your prices. Anybody in here just totally independent business? Okay. So you're going to go home and raise your prices today.
Oh, I did.
Again.
Yeah.
Well, unless you did it yesterday. Anyway, kidding you. But when you see that, and you people who are in marketing, that's a discussion to have with your clients. You won't be scared of those things. When you show them some facts from behind, you go, wow, you know. So, any questions, comments, blinding flashes of the obvious, or just so complete? You either one already knew it all, or it was so clear. Yes, sir.
So, in terms of listening to your audience, and you've got your customer thoughts, and what our best customers say, what our worst customers say, what do you usually advise clients when you have a relatively overwhelmingly positive customer feedback, and how they should approach the continual crafting of the message and so forth? Because I guess what I'm thinking is that you're always thinking, well, am I getting all the negative that I need to be hearing, or
Are they telling me the truth?
are they? Yeah, and I think in the case I'm thinking of, I think we are getting the truth, but I still, the sort of devil's advocate in my head says, well, yeah, but there's bound to be people who are just not talking, who maybe have some negative ideas. But
What business are you in?
we're performing arts.
Okay. Well, I don't usually have people with the problem that I'm getting too much positive and no negative.
I'm not saying it's too much. I'm
yeah.
just saying it's
You want to be
not
sure.
positive, and so I've always just concerned about, are we covering the negative?
Right. Got a bunch of marketers in the room. What are your thoughts?
Raise prices.
Pardon?
I say raise prices.
Just a minute. Somebody totally got it. You're going to find, yeah. I mean, that's actually, there you go. Yes.
What are the common barriers or issues that you find when you're consulting with companies, businesses, owners to raising prices, to focusing in, and how do you overcome those?
Well, as I think I said, it's the hardest fight I ever have, and it starts right up front. And part of the issue is I want to change their thinking. Okay. So what the hardest issue is, they're reluctant to do it, and they give me endless streams of almost the same thing every time. My competitors, they'll name somebody, I lost this contract, they did all these things. And what I try to get them to do is pick, if you have more than one product, pick an area and raise the prices. And you have to test and measure, just like you guys do A/B testing, I'm sure, and test your headlines and so on. You have to know what you were doing before so that you can see the difference. But it's just as a point where, and actually the thing that, those charts that I gave you, that's why I do those. Because I say, look, you want to raise 20% over the board and you're at 35%, which isn't enough, you can lose, it was like 40% of your business and it'll stay the same. So let's do it. That gives them courage to at least try it. And once they try it, I mean, what happens is they don't ever lose anybody. People, when you're talking, different industries sell different things, but walk up to somebody coming out of Dillard's, or if there's still any brick and mortar stores around, without being too much of a creeper, and just say, hey, how much did you spend? They don't know. Oh, about $100. Go see your receipt. $126. Now you'll find somebody to prove me wrong who knows exactly what they spent, but I do that. They don't know. So it isn't that price. So I have these conversations until they try it. And then, but you have to track what happens, because they will come back to you with the one person who said, well, I'm sick and, well, I had a landscape company and they had about 400 customers. And so I kept telling him, you got to go up, you got to go up. And we went up about 30%. He hadn't raised his prices in a number of years. So he sent out a letter to everybody. And he said, well, I said, how's it going? He said, well, so far I hadn't lost anybody. Then he called me that day. Oh no, what happened? He lost the guy. It was his next door neighbor. And it was for a $5 a week increase. And the guy circled the increase and put it, I go, pfft. I said, what do you think about your neighbor? He said, he's a royal pain. I said, good. No extra charge for getting rid of the idiot.
Yeah.
Okay. Sergio.
Because to what you just said, I have a small restaurant. I'm very stubborn, and for like 2 or 3 years didn't raise prices. Someone made me change prices, but I was super scared. I was really afraid. Made the first change. I didn't want to lose customers. It helped. met Martin and she's like, you need to raise prices. First thing you need to do is raise your prices. Martin, I want to lose my customers, I'm afraid. You have to do it, we raise prices. If we lost 3% of the customers, that's the most. When I, online or stuff, I see a reviews like overpriced or something. If people is not willing to pay those $2, $3, $5 extra, I'd rather not have it.
Right.
Not be my cost.
Right. So thanks for that testimonial. Did that answer your question? I don't know if we wandered a little bit. The first thing is to look at what difference it makes if you did lose business. Then convince them to do that, and they will find out they will not lose business. And so they're just making more money. Then go over to the price increase sheet and go, wow. Any other questions or? Yes, sir.
I'm having a little bit of trouble figuring out how to ask this because I'm a visual person, so I have
Okay.
versions of this on a whiteboard in my head. When it comes to writing personas, I'm thinking about who you're talking to. I know a lot of it is who you're talking to, a lot of it is that gives you a mechanism for determining who you're not talking to. I'm wondering a little bit of a chicken or the egg sort of thing. How much of your persona writing is intuition and how much of it is data? How much of it is based on the success you've had with existing customers and how much of it is based on the kind of customer you want to have?
Good. That's a great question. If your existing customers are exactly what you want, then know everything about them. My dad was a writer. Went to professional writing school in OU back in right after World War II. But he always told me, he said, good writers are speaking to somebody. And I don't remember who Ernest Hemingway was. I know who my dad's was. It was Cleo Cross, the wife of George Cross, who was the president of the University of Oklahoma. Literally, everything he wrote was to Cleo. And the reason was she had a certain sense of humor and she appreciated, thought he was funny and all this. So he's writing with that presumption that, hey, she thinks I'm funny, and his stuff did well. So an absolute person. And if existing customers help you with that, and you have, boy, if I had 30 of him or her, that's what I want, then write it to him or her. Absolutely. If you don't, then you kind of got an Ocean and Duke, well, whoever wrote Ocean and Duke probably had know who they're talking about, and then throw in a couple of extra things. Yes, sir.
Question with regards to pricing strategy. I've seen a lot of businesses get in with sort of quote unquote price skimming, so they're pricing higher in order to not, or they're fearful of that, raising prices, in little increments and then sort of like, in your experience, do you see a lot of that happening now where they're like, well, people perceive price, a certain amount of people perceive price equals quality also, and so they go, well, this is what we are, people look at us and they go, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's what Bugatti's all about. Yeah, no, that's one thing I like to point out you said price skimming. Okay, I don't really know what you meant by that, but I have another article on my website. What's it called? 7 Facts About Profit. I've encountered a lot of people, and maybe you guys do nowadays, who say things to me like, well, I want to make money, but not too much. Okay? Or for me, it's not all about the money. I want to do good and do well. Okay? I get it. But yes, it is about the money. If you want to drill water wells in Africa, you got to make money to do that. Right? Okay, so, and there is nothing wrong with charging if you force fraud or inheritance, well, I'll just use force for fraud. If you're looking at somebody who's extremely wealthy, who did not steal it or lie, unethically, you're looking at somebody who's benefited the world at least 90 times more than they've benefited themselves. This article talks about it, I won't go into it a lot. So it's totally appropriate to charge all you can until they quit paying it. Okay? And absolutely, that's a total target market is people who want to buy something because you can't have it. And we may not think that's cool and worthwhile emotion, but if that emotion's out there, sell it to them. Guys who make Porsches need to have jobs too, Did that answer your question? Okay. Okay.
So if there's any more questions, maybe one-on-one.
Yeah, I'll be here. So I'd love to talk to you. Thank you.